In 2011, when Governor Bobby Jindal was reelected to a second term as Louisiana's governor, his victory was almost guaranteed after he ran nearly unopposed by any major Democratic opponent. And while President Barack Obama's victories in Virginia and Florida signal some cracks in the GOP's solid South political dominance, Jindal's easy win, more than 70%, still is more the rule than the exception in Southern politics. Thanks to the South's single-party superiority, Jindal and other GOP lawmakers are free to pass policies that are burdensome to their state's most marginalized people. As they might say on Real Housewives of Atlanta, who gonna check me, boo? Right? There's this sense of if you don't have two parties, then you made this point about poor, white, often rural, for example, Louisianans. 70% of them more give their votes to the governor, and then he makes policy which is oftentimes not in their economic self-interest.
Well, not only that, and this is, Georgia is probably 10 years from being a purple state, and here's why. We have a very large African-American population, and this African-American population is getting richer. You talk about black communities. Well, some of these black communities are some of the nicest suburbs in Atlanta. But because the Republican Party has just completely written off any real outreach, I'm not talking about lip service. I'm talking about going door to door, doing what Obama did, real politicking. If we don't reach out to that, to all Georgians or all Southerners, I mean, the guarantee Southern base for the Republican Party is no longer as guaranteed as it once was amongst white men or whatever. It's slipping. Obama got 45% in Georgia.
Right, and John, really, this is your business, is to create a two-party platform in the South.
And we're hopeful it's going to be more like 2 to 4 years in Georgia. But we can debate math, as sometimes Democrats and Republicans do. The South will come back demographically, politically. I think one of the challenges is the Republicans control so much in some of these states. They're overreaching left and right. And I survived 1994 when the Democrats really got wiped out around the country. And 2 or 3 election cycles later, we had Democratic governors of South Carolina, of Georgia, of Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee. And so the pendulum will swing back, hopefully through great ideas and great candidates that are Democrats. But also a big part of the equation is going to be overreach, because the Republicans think they've now gotten these legislative bodies and governorships for decades.
So, Karen, let me ask you on that, because obviously as the head of the Louisiana Democratic Party, how do you start making a claim to some of these, for example, Jindal supporters, that in fact their economic interests lie with a Democratic Party?
Well, Governor Jindal is in fact helping us. I mean, there are Republicans in the legislature and all across this state that have been silenced. Some have been silenced, and there are others like John Kennedy, who's the treasurer, even David Vitter, who's in the U.S. Senate, that challenged Jindal's flawed policy. So it's really helpful. There's a window of opportunity, not just here in Louisiana, but all across the South. I totally disagree that it's going to take 10 years for Georgia to become purple. Let me just throw that in there. I just took on a new role as vice president for the Association of Democratic Party Chairs, and I'm looking forward to being in Georgia and North Carolina and going right after folks. And it's good that there's upward mobility occurring in the African American community, but they are not going to be listening to the rhetoric. They're going to, in fact, look at the Republicans' records and figure out that that's not the best place for them for opportunity, for economic security, and otherwise. So I think it's a farce. We're doing great things here in Louisiana in the Democratic Party rebuilding. Mary Landrieu's our priority in 2014.
Right, of course.
And in Virginia, we're going to get a Democratic governor there. All across the South, it's coming back.
I always love your optimism, and we both managed to be wearing purple today. Karen Carter Peterson, who is in the place that I am so sad that I am not at this moment, the home of the current Super Bowl, New Orleans. And up next, we're going to talk not so much about purple, but pink, and why pink is the new color of courage, thanks to my Foot Soldier of the Week.